see if this is going live. I should probably mute this because I think this is about to go live. No? Am I live, guys? I don't even know. OBS changed some shit of how this works, and now I don't even know if I'm live. Look at this. Oh, there it goes. Let me see. Never mind. This is going live. Okay, so I'm live. Let me mute this because you're gonna hear that twice. What's up, guys? Let me start you off with a little intro. Alright, how's everybody doing? Just buying myself a little time. Let me pop out the chat. So, recently, I've been really... Oh, let me tweet this out real quick. Oops, wrong thing. Tweet. There you go. So, recently I've been really into watching these globe Earth guys, flat Earth guys, and just basically a bunch of pseudoscience in general. I just did a live stream, if you guys missed it, on some guy who thought he could prove a creator, and you know, again, say with science and math, and then you go through his article that he wrote that said that proves it, and it was complete bullshit. There was no science, no math, no scientific method used or anything like that. But I've been finding it really funny to watch these guys because it's a stunning example of cognitive dissonance, of how people really lack understanding of science. I'm not like an expert in science or any kind of science in any field. I'm not an expert in that. But I have a general understanding. I do enjoy understanding things about science, so I watch a lot of documentaries and stuff like that. I'll look stuff up. But it's not like I'm an expert or anything, right? So beyond that, I can understand that maybe people don't want to believe certain things, but when they argue it, they're really bad at arguing it. And it's like, it's not just... them not understanding, it's them not wanting to understand. It's really a cognitive dissonance. There's something else going on in their brain that they really need to believe is true. So any evidence against it, no matter how good the evidence, they're gonna say it's not true. They're gonna do what they can to eliminate that proof in their mind and not believe it, right? I'm gonna smoke some weedus. So I've been watching a lot of these guys. There's a lot of good channels out there if you want. I don't really watch... Sometimes I'll watch those guys' regular channel and see what they have to say. But a lot of times, like with a lot of things, I watch people reacting to their channels or debunking what they're saying and stuff like that. So there's a couple of good ones. Simon Dan's a good one I like a lot. He's a little stiff, maybe not super entertaining, but he picks out good videos to watch that are pretty funny. And then, you know, he relates the actual science to you, which is cool. In case you don't know, I mean, most of it is pretty basic. And even if you don't know much about science, you'll have a basic understanding of what he's saying. But there have been times where I learned stuff that was deeper, you know, that I'd never even thought of looking into. Let's see. I have 5 people watching. So, from looking through these, I found this channel, let me click it, called Why You Are an Idiot, right? This guy's got tons of videos and only has 244 subscribers. Almost all of his videos have more dislikes than likes, even though they're really low. Let's look at more of this stuff. But these are the kind of videos he has. Let's start from the bottom and I'll show you. This guy's religious. He believes the Bible is literal. All this kind of stuff. Here's his first video 2 years ago. He's still at only 200 something subs. Flat Earth, the cards tell the story. Flat Earth, the watchers. Why Theo Joe is an idiot. You know, it's funny because he calls himself Why You Are an Idiot, and he basically has videos where he says, you know, pick certain people like Richard Dawkins, right? Why Richard Dawkins is an idiot. God is real. And it's really funny and ironic because, you know, when you watch the videos, you realize he's the idiot, right? Flat Earth, it's everywhere. Why Armored Skeptic is an idiot. Flat Earth. Oh my god. But yeah, that's stuff. He also delves into MGTOW. We'll probably see that. Joe Rogan, Round Earth Idiot. Flat Earth, White Sand. 10 Reasons Professor Stick is an idiot. And he goes through stuff like that. Right? Glory to my God above the waters. Talks about God a lot. Yeah, he goes into MGTOW, cheating idiots. That one doesn't specifically say MGTOW, but here we go. MGTOW, false evolution. MGTOW, flat Earth. I'm like, what does MGTOW have to do with flat Earth? This is a person who is both MGTOW and a flat earther, so he decided to mix the two. He also believes in giants, Noah's Titans before the flood, and he sees these rock shapes that look like faces or bodies, and he says, this is proof. You know, but, and then again, he doesn't understand what proof is. Like, if he wanted proof that these were giants, he would, why doesn't he go there, take a chunk off of this thing, and analyze it and see if there's any biological, you know, DNA in there or something, right? There have to be, you'd have to find something besides it being rock or whatever material it's made out of, you know, and show that it is an organic biological material, you know. But, you know, he's never going to do that. Meanwhile, he says, you know, he does, it's the same thing as what do you call it? The creationists, when they would do the same thing when it came to evolution. Hi, Fanny. Where they say, oh, what you believe is a religion, you know, and they start calling evolution a religion. And they're like, oh, it's a religion because there's no proof, you just believe it. Which is what they're doing. You know, that's what they're doing, and they think that's what you're doing, but you're not, because we all know all these sciences that we have as a scientific theory, just the fact that it's a scientific theory shows that there's tons of evidence towards that conclusion. These people don't understand what the word theory is. They take the layman term and use it as a scientific term and don't realize, you know, and they'll say they have a theory too. You know, they'll talk about, oh, you believe in the theory of gravity. Well, I have a theory on that too. And it's like, no, you don't have a theory. What you have is an idea or a hypothesis. You never even reached the theory stage because you haven't even tested your idea and nobody else has. Like, in order for it to be a theory, it's got to be, you've got to make predictions, you've got to do experiments, you got to have other people repeat those experiments and come back and say, yeah, I did the same experiment, it came out the same way, you might be right, you know? And that's how we get a theory, not just, I have a theory, you state it, and that's it, and now it's a theory that's accepted by science. You know, like, that's retarded. It's not how it works. But yeah, he believes in giants. Flat Earth faking astronauts, how to stop alien invasion. Well, I think he talks about how, in this one I watched a little bit of it because I thought he was going to say he believes in aliens, but he doesn't. He believes aliens are fallen angels. But he talks about how Flat Earth, how that part of hiding the Flat Earth is also how to stop aliens. That's why we are saying that we have satellites flying in space, because he doesn't believe in space. He doesn't believe in satellites. He thinks there's a dome. But yeah, I wanted to watch him debate this one guy called Fight the Flat Earth. This is part 2, though. Oh, I could just go back. And we'll watch a little bit of this.
No, we're using common sense.
The satellite did not cast a shadow on the moon.
A shadow because.
Oh, yeah,
I think we should talk about the dome because that's a very good topic.
That was a clip. The beginning was just a clip from later.
The question I have for you is, do you think gravity is a thing?
Oh hell no!
I love how, oh hell no. He just instantly, gravity's not a thing. Oh hell no. He doesn't understand what gravity is. In the end, gravity is just a study of why things fall to the earth. That's basically what it is. And it's, we've seen it countless times. Things fall to the earth. You jump up, you're going to fall. Things that go up must come down, right?
Right, okay.
It's that simple.
So then we have a major problem with the dome, because without gravity, a pressure gradient wouldn't be possible in an enclosed system of a dome like that.
The truth is, he doesn't believe in the law of gravity. That's what he's talking about, not just gravity. But he makes a lot of... This guy plays a lot of word games, and he makes a lot of... And he fucks up a lot with those word games. And I've caught a bunch of them. I don't know, this guy doesn't call them out when he fucks up on those word games, but we'll see.
Especially not a pressure system where we have evidence that it literally goes to a practical vacuum. I could quite happily show you a video now displaying the fact that we know that things go into a vacuum, if you like.
Yeah, I have a video explaining the same thing, but there's too many issues. Here, let me explain.
There's too many issues. Let's hear what he thinks are issues with gravity. Even though we've been studying it for so long, there's not many issues left with the way it works that we figured out. Like, the only thing we don't know is kind of like being able to see that force, like we can't really see it, but we can detect its effects on everything.
Too many issues with gravity. One, people come up to me and tell me, what's the law of gravity? And they talk about how particles always will attract to each other, which is basically mass attracts mass. Here's where the issue comes in. There's actually 3 different laws. As much as people don't know about this, there's 3 different laws.
People don't know about... He's saying there's 3 different laws of gravity. He's saying people don't know about it. Then how is it a law of gravity? Everything that's a law in science, a scientific law or theory, is written down and shown and made public. How do people not know about it then? Like, that doesn't even make sense, right? But I figure it out. You'll see later. He exposes what it is in this video. It wasn't part of the debate. This is a video of him watching the debate and then putting in more... I don't know why he didn't show these things during the debate, but he goes back and shows things now as his proof, obviously outside of the debate, because now this guy can't answer back, right?
Theory. So it has changed 3 times already.
Okay, what do you think the 3 laws are?
Well, this is what they said. Okay. This isn't me. This is what science says.
This is yeah, he said it there. I was going to say there's a problem because he says this is what they said, and he didn't ask they. It's not. Whenever somebody says they and they don't tell you who they is, you can't track that. You can't verify that.
Okay, the first one that came out was the core is causing gravity. Okay?
The core is causing gravity. I've never heard that in my life. The core is causing gravity. When was that said? I mean, I remember Newton said mass was studying mass. He said the variable was mass. Mass is what's different between objects that makes them either attract to each other or fall at different rates, or or spin or whatever. Whatever effect the gravity has on them is because of mass. That's the variable.
Core. It's as simple as this. The core is grabbing everything, pressing it down. The second one, okay, the outside space.
But in the end, you don't need to know what causes gravity for gravity to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you debunked whatever they say the cause of gravity is, you still haven't debunked gravity. You've only debunked what causes it. There is countless and countless experiments and evidence that gravity exists. So even if you could debunk what causes it, you'd still have to debunk gravity.
This, outer space is pushing everything in, and that's what's causing gravity.
I've never heard that one either. Outer space is pushing everything in. That's the opposite of what I've heard about space. I've heard space was no pressure, right? It's a vacuum. There's no pressure to it. So how can it push anything, right? This is the reason why when you're in space, you just float around, right? Things just float and they're directionless. There's no force pushing you in any sort of direction. So how can space push things in and cause gravity? That's dumb. I don't think that was ever a theory. I think he's lying, or he's hearing people say it as an idea, or maybe it was a hypothesis at some point, but never made it to the point of being a theory, and he's taking that as being a theory because he doesn't understand what the word theory is. They should have. I haven't seen this whole debate. I don't know why Fight the Flat Earth didn't say any debate of this kind with anybody like this, creationists, any kind of science denier, because that's the go-to for science deniers. It's just a theory. So you have to establish at the beginning of the debate immediately what is a theory. What are we using here? Are we using the layman term, or are we using the science term? If we're going to use the layman term, then I'm going to have to explain to you every time you say a scientific theory, I'm going to have to explain it to you that, okay, but that's not the layman theory when they say that. They're saying this, And if you accept that it is, then you can't just say things are just a theory, because then you're understanding that it's a scientific term that says that it's more than an idea. It's an idea that has been tested and verified and has more proof explaining that that is what it is than anything else. And until we find something that has more solid proof that it's that, this is the most logical thing to believe in at the moment. But all right, we'll keep going.
And now,
but yeah, the two things he said was the core causes gravity, which I've never heard. And then the other thing is space is pushing everything down, which doesn't even make sense. There is no down. Why would space just push everything in? And when it has no pressure, it just makes no sense. I've never heard it, and I don't believe either of those two were ever a theory.
we have mass attracts mass. So I'm just like, okay, could it be that all three are just lies?
Okay.
Could it be that they're trying to cover up for something
So
that they can't 100% prove?
I'll have to correct you that the law of gravity has been the same thing of mass attracting mass since Newton devised it. It hasn't changed. No one says that the core causes gravity, and nobody says that space.
Here's where this guy does something so stupid. And this is the problem with debating people like this, is that you're not under the same understanding of language. Like, right now he says nobody said those things, right? Those first two theories that he stated that I've never heard of. I don't think anybody says it. He says nobody says these things, right? And look what this guy responds with.
Pushes you in.
Again, he didn't respond with this in the debate. This is him watching the video and then cutting in stuff, like this. You sure about that?
Okay, so right here, I just proved you wrong. There are people who do.
There are people. See, he took what he said, nobody says this. He took that as meaning literally nobody. But what he was saying and what he meant, and it's obvious what he meant, because the conversation was already settled as being, remember when I said from the beginning, he said they say this. And the guy should have questioned him, but he didn't. But then, why are you an idiot? Pretty much fucked up and said scientists say this right after that. Right after he said they, he repeated the sentence and replaced they with scientists. Therefore, this conversation is about scientists. So when Fight the Flat Earth says nobody says this, he's talking about scientists. This guy is not a scientist. In fact, from his picture, he looks like a young dude. He's like 18, 19. His name is Shikar William Massey. You think this guy's a scientist? You think this guy writes theories and observes and tests them? No. This is some random dude on the internet. Even starts the sentence with, I know the science very less than everyone here, but I figured out that. So that means he doesn't know the science. He's not a scientist. The Earth is a large electromagnet. Ah, man, I said that all fucked up. A large electromagnet, and as your ask, yes, the core is responsible. As we all learnt in secondary school about dynamo. Dynamo produce electricity by constantly revolving a magnet. Even here, this guy, well, I guess he is saying the core is responsible, but this guy is not using the law of gravity. He didn't learn this as gravity. He figured this out. So he's even saying wrong here. This guy isn't saying that it's gravity because that gravity causes it, and that's what he was taught. He's not saying he was taught that. He's saying he figured it out by using something he learned in school about electromagnetism, dynamo, electricity, magnet. He's not saying that he's taking the laws of electromagnetism and saying that's what gravity is. That's two totally different things,
Differently than you. They have different theories, different ideas in their head.
This isn't a theory. What this guy wrote here isn't a theory. This is an idea. This is his hypothesis that he's never tested, he's never observed, he doesn't know the science of even. He even says he knows less of the science than everyone else who he was talking to in that forum.
believes there is a core and that it does cause gravity.
And that it does cause gravity. Yeah, he didn't say he believes it. He says he figured that out. He's using the wrong physical law to explain it. That's not how science says gravity works. It's never been how science says gravity works.
And that he learned it in school.
And that he learned it in school. You see, this is how dumb this guy is. He doesn't even understand the content. This terrible reading comprehension. He never said he learned gravity in school. What he learned in school was dynamo, and he himself is figuring that dynamo is what causes, from the core, is what causes this, what causes gravity. He doesn't even mention gravity in this, but I'm guessing that's what he's saying. But even then, obviously this guy is just believing what he wants to say. He just said this guy is saying he learned gravity comes from the core in school. And that's not what this says at all. What he learned was dynamo, and he's looking at it as, oh, if dynamo, that causes a law of attraction. Maybe in a bigger way, that's how the earth works. You know, that's him just in his mind. That's a hypothesis, not a theory.
See, not hard to find.
Yeah, stupid.
Makes sense.
And then
if you know what gravity is.
And then he goes to Armored Skeptic, who is, we all know, is not a scientist.
A planet or a planetoid or a sun into space, you basically bend space. You push space out away from that object, and space tries its best to force its way back to where it used to be.
Okay.
See, now that's out of context. At least I think so. I never watched Armored Skeptic's video on Flat Earth, so I have no idea. But what it sounds like he's saying to me is displacement. This guy's taking it as him saying the space is trying to push against the Earth. That's how he's saying. He's saying if you move a planet out of a space, now you have an empty space where the planet was, and space wants to fill that empty space. You know what I'm saying? That's why, as the Earth is moving, the empty space stays the same around where it used to be because it fills in. Just like with the ocean, if you take a huge chunk of the ocean out, the water's going to want to fill that empty space, right? And level itself out. Let me check the chat. What's up, Blake? But yeah, I think he's taking Armored Skeptic out of context there, too. And on top of that, Armored Skeptic is not a scientist, so even if he's wrong, that doesn't say anything.
Okay, so right here we have the three explanations for gravity. One person says...
Yeah, from random people. Who gives a shit? How is that proof of anything? That's so dumb that this guy thinks random people saying things is automatically makes it a law, a theory. Oh, that's it. This guy said gravity is created by fairies. Now that's got to be another... Now we have 4 theories of gravity. Like, what?
It's coming from the core. The other person saying space is pushing it in. And then we have mass attracts mass. Okay, so let's go down.
Mass attracts mass, which was an idea that was tested, observed, verified multiple times. The experiments repeated over and over again. They've done experiments to try to prove other theories that don't have to do with it, and it ends up proving that theory. You know what I'm saying? So there's so much evidence for it that it shows that that's the most probable thing it could be.
List. 1, does the core exist? No one can prove it. You can use seismology and everything.
No one can prove it. This guy also doesn't understand what a core is. A core just means the center. So if it's a ball, there's obviously a core. There's always a center. He fucks up with this later on, and I left a comment on him, and he responded too. We'll check
no one
out later.
can physically prove it. So that's 1 down.
But no one can physically prove it. You don't have to physically prove everything. Everything this guy states, he can't physically prove. He says he can, and then all he does is read scripture to you, or show you mountain faces that look like faces, or, you know, like there's that mountain of that, it looks like a woman laying down, like a pregnant woman that somewhere out there that people, I know, I've seen it on TV. But it's, you know, it's an illusion. We like to see patterns, and, you know, we have facial recognition. We see faces everywhere.
Okay, now prove outer space exists. You can't. You
You know,
can't.
prove outer space exists. You can to a degree. I mean, you know, obviously these guys are going to say that people went to space or lying, but they're not. I mean, and on top of that, we can see outer space. We can see how it works. We can see how things travel across the skies, you know, and the space, you know, and we can measure those things.
No one can.
But this guy only wants things to be physical proof, which is funny because everything he believes has no physical proof.
And I can't even. So guess what? It doesn't exist. And guess what?
Because you can't prove it, it doesn't exist. That's not how things work at all.
Let's go to mass attracts mass. I can explain that simply with magnetism. With simple.
With magnetism, yeah, but magnetism doesn't work that way because you have to have like two sets of them, right? Like how would, like, say the Earth is a magnet and that's what causes gravity. What is attracting certain things? Magnets only attract certain things. They don't attract everything. The Earth is attracting everything. You know what I'm saying? Everything that has mass is being weighed down by the Earth. If that was magnetism, you'd have to explain how it's using its force on things that it normally can't. You know, we understand how magnets work. Magnets work against certain things. They don't, you can't use a magnet on wood. It's not going to attract wood, So how is wood attracted to the Earth then, if it's magnetism?
Magnetism. I don't need gravity. I can remove gravity completely and just keep it at its simple magnetism. Guess what?
But even if you said that, you have to prove that it's simple magnetism. You can't just say it. If you think that that's what it is, you have to find more evidence that that's what it is to counteract the amount of evidence that there is for it being gravity. You know what I'm saying? Being mass attracts mass. That's the only thing you can do.
You're an idiot.
If not, you can't expect people to accept it. That's not how science works.
You're stupid.
It's like if I told you a unicorn existed and you don't want to believe me, and then I show you a horse with a horn taped on its head. That's kind of evidence, right? But you can easily see the tape. That's another set of evidence. Now you have to disprove that the tape, if you still want to say that's a unicorn, you'd have to disprove that the tape is holding the horn onto its head,
You're making assumptions and assertions that you can't prove. Because guess what? You're not the end-all be-all of gravity. You don't decide what it is.
No, nobody decides what it is. People test it till we can see that there's enough proof that that's the most likely conclusion to this effect.
The point, because...
And then we all get to say that's what it is, because that's as far as we've gotten in understanding.
Proving the core isn't necessary at all when we're talking about gravity, because gravity is dependent on mass, and that means the total mass of the Earth, which was actually weighed in the Cavendish experiment.
Why is your theory correct but the other two wrong? That's an easy question and a super stupid question from somebody who just really doesn't understand, again, what theory is. Theory should have been discussed from the beginning. That should have been the beginning of the debate, is let's reach a conclusion on what the word theory means, so when we use it, things like this don't happen. This is after the debate. So this shows that they didn't even get what theory means by the end of their debate. That's useless debate. They wasted their time. But why is your theory correct but the other two wrong is easy to say. It's not his theory. It's someone else's, Newton's theory. That we can even say people had that theory before him. But either way, that's the person who cemented it in science, was Newton. It was the reason that one is correct and the other two are wrong is because the other two cannot be verified in any way. You can't make predictions and it comes true. You can't have repeatable experiments that prove their points. You can't have those. It doesn't work. The reason this theory is correct, Newton's theory, is because we did do that with that. We do have the experiments. We have the proof. It's there. We know. Why can no one prove the core? If you could prove the Earth is a globe, you can prove there's a core. It doesn't. Your word doesn't work here. I mean, if you want to talk about a molten core or an iron core, that's different. But you want to prove a core, anything, the center of anything is its core. Why do they have to constantly change theories? They don't constantly change theories, at least not with gravity. They add to it. But in science in general, if you change theories, it's because another theory came along that had better evidence of that being the reason. Which is why anytime we change theory, there's huge paradigm shifts happen in science. Like when Einstein's theory of relativity was proven, that caused a huge paradigm shift in science, and now everybody had to work off that because that ended up being like, oh, wait, all these other conclusions we came to and couldn't figure out what was the connecting factor? This person figured it out. You know, space-time. Oh, theory of relativity. Got it. Now that's a whole new thing, and we have to work off that because now we understand that better. And it threw a wrench in a couple of things, you know. But that's how you do it. If you want to prove that gravity is electromagnetism, that's how you do it. Not like how you think it is or how you're saying it is. Or you want to make this a scientific theory, you have to go through the rigors of trying to make it a scientific theory. You can't just state it. That's why I say you gotta discuss what a theory is before you start this shit, because this is exactly what happens. Maybe they do it to keep the lie going. No, I already explained what it was. And then here's his theory for gravity. By the word of God, the earth was formed. Can you prove that? Let's see your evidence for it. You know, we need this in repeatable experiments. Let's do it. Make these experiments to prove that the word of God is what formed the earth and gravity. Let's do it.
Look, I understand what you're saying. I really do. I understand what you're saying.
I understand what you're saying, but you really don't, because you don't understand what the word theory is, so you don't understand what he's saying. You hear his words, but you don't understand his words. So you're saying you understand, but that's Dunning-Kruger right there. You can tell from this guy's confidence, like even at the beginning of this video, he put, oh, this is going to be fun. Like, he's so confident that he's right and going to bust these guys, but all of his gotchas are terrible, you know.
You're saying, but it's up for debate. And this is why we're here. It's up for debate because there's plenty of things. You just admitted you can't prove a core. You may believe there's a core under the earth, but you can't prove it. That's a fact. Because if we look at seismology, there's really no picture evidence of this.
No, see, he wants picture evidence of it. That's another thing, is he thinks you can only prove things by looking at it or having the physical evidence, like he said. But we can prove things because we understand the laws of nature, and we can use math, and we can understand that, oh, you know, if, you know, these things move in the sky at this rate, you know, then there should be, like, this, how we discovered Neptune, right? We discovered Neptune through math. You know what I'm saying? We never saw Neptune. The only way we saw it was because we know how planets move and how the tug of other planets affect planets. So we looked at Uranus's path and we were like, wait, if Uranus is the last planet, it shouldn't be moving like this, because the way it's moving is consistent with the other planets having another planet past it, tugging at it, right? So then they did the math and they said, if it has this kind of tug and this motion, then with this math, that means this other planet should be in this spot in like 2 days or something. And then they looked through a telescope and it appeared right where they said it would, using math, you know, and that proved that there was another planet past Uranus, you know, or is it Saturn? One of the two. But that's how we discovered Neptune. We did the math and said, oh, it should be right here in the sky in this at this time, and then they looked up and there it was.
Do I believe there's a center? Of course.
This is where he fucked up, and I left a comment for him. He says he doesn't believe there's a core, and then says, do I believe there's a center? Of course. And that's where I said, the center of what? You believe there's a center of a flat earth? Like, what would be the important, who cares about a center in the flat earth? That's just like Australia or something, or Antarctica, or whatever they call the middle, the Arctic. Who cares? The middle of Earth would be inside of it, but the center of a flat Earth is a disk. It's a flat disk. It would just be the center of its land. Who gives a shit? You should be able to dig down and hit the bottom right away. You know what I'm saying? In the center. So he didn't get the question when I asked. He already thought I was trying to say something else. So here's where I asked. I said, you said you believe in a center. A center of what? So he responds, does a ball have a center? Yes. Does a plate have a center? Yes. This is a center there is a center to pretty much everything. Yeah, but a center to everything isn't significant and doesn't matter. To say that you believe in a core, and then you believe in a flat earth and say you believe in a center, who cares? Like that, there's no significance to the center of a flat earth. Does not mean there is a core, which I said nothing about. And then he gives me a timestamp, and when I looked at it, it was just talking about some fucking crazy, we'll get to that. It's just some crazy shit. So I asked him, I didn't say anything about a core, but so the word core just means the center of something. But the context of the question was you talking about having no idea if there is a core, but you believe there is a center. A center on a plate would have little to no significance here. I find it odd that you believe in a center. A center would be a core. Maybe you just misspoke, which I don't think he did. I think he just exposed himself, really. Also, I have no idea why you posted the timestamp. It had nothing to do with my question. The timestamp of you saying you believe in a center is at 4:50, which is where we were just at.
I believe there's a center. Is there a core?
I don't think he'll respond
I
again.
have no idea.
Okay, but what does
Is there a core? I have no
motivate?
idea, but he
It's
believes in a
relevant to the
center?
conversation
Here's
of
why.
gravity.
Weird.
So you're using one of the laws of gravity, and you can say there's not, but I'm going to let you know there are. Other people use the other 3 laws. I told you.
What? Who? This is the problem, is he's saying other people. Like I said before, they already cemented that they were talking about scientists. Now he's changed it to be about him saying anybody can say whatever they want, and those people count as good as the scientific theory of gravity.
I told you in one of my videos, Armored Skeptic used one of the other laws of gravity, of the theory.
And did
So,
he? What
and
Matt,
leave-
I think he's taken them out of context. Maybe I'll check that out another time and see, but I think he's taken them out of context. I think what Armored Skeptic was talking about was what I was saying, that space fills in the empty space left behind of any movement. It doesn't mean that it's pushing against the planet, though. Space has no pressure. That's what a vacuum is.
Okay, what's going on here? Okay, so I can't prove a core. That's a fact. I can't prove it. So I'm going to completely toss it out. I'm going to look at what does the inside of the Earth actually do? Okay, so the inside of the Earth seems to be magnetic for some reason. Don't know why, but it seems to be magnetic. Okay, well then, what type of experiment on the flat Earth could make the sun and moon go up using those simple magnetics? Well, there's an example of that perfectly. There is a miniature version. It's called a levitating clock. You can grab simple magnetics, and you can literally make a little small ball float in the air and rotate around. Now, that's what we can do.
That's magnetic, though. That's not gravity. That's a totally different thing. And like I said, those are made out of certain materials that affect each other. If not, it doesn't work. Those have to be those specific materials.
What can God do?
Yeah, the levitating. Oh, magnetism. Oh, what can God do? That's not something God does. This is what we can do and what God can do. Well, you can't prove that there is a God even, so you're saying things and believing in things that you can't prove, which is what you're accusing people who believe the earth of. But yeah, this isn't God. This is physics. I bet he doesn't even understand how this works, and he sees this as being like, oh, look at that. That is, oh my god, look at this thing. This guy really it's just magnets, bro. Dude, how do you think this is special? It's just fucking magnets. Like, what are you doing? We've known about magnets for hundreds and hundreds of years. Yes, it's a good example. If you light it up a certain way, it is a good example of how the faces of the...
Okay, I'd like to first address your suggestion of gravity being magnetism.
No, I don't think gravity is magnetism. I remove gravity completely.
Right, okay, but the thing is, we experience a accelerating force. Is that something that you disagree with?
Yeah, no, I agree with it.
Right,
I don't
that
disagree
that
with
is
it.
that
I
is
agree with
gravity. That is, you can call it what you like. That accelerating force is gravity.
it. And sorry,
He's right.
no core, can't prove it.
The core's not.
No core. See, there you go. He moved the goalpost again. He went from him explaining. This is the problem too. Like I said before, you have to explain what you mean by these words and set it for the debate. But this guy doesn't accept them either, because as he said right there, this guy is trying to cement when he says gravity. He's like, look, when scientists and we say gravity, what we're talking about is the accelerating force that pulls you to the earth. We're not talking about the laws of it or how we explain the effect of it. All we're saying when we say gravity is the effect that we observe daily and have for all of time that objects fall to the earth. You know, say towards the earth and stick to the earth. That's all he's saying. But this guy all of a sudden switches to, oh, sorry, no core, then you can't prove it. And it's like, what? Well, I don't know why you would need to prove a core to prove gravity. That part of it doesn't even make sense, but
Nothing to do with gravity. I've explained this to you.
Yeah,
Please stop saying that.
he keeps saying it though. He's explained it to him. Let's go down this route. I am gonna hear your words.
Your source also believes in a globe. You're saying
Yeah, he cut out the rest of it. He was just already telling him, like, we've already explained this, and then he cuts to the next part. At some point, I guess I should watch this whole debate. I bet there's a lot more funny stuff that this guy cut out of his own video.
that this is taught in schools, and so far nobody in chat was taught that the core was causing gravity. This is why this is a straw man.
It's as simple as this. You can grab a simple science.
It is a straw man, that's what it is. And nobody's heard of that, right? Nobody else has heard of that. He finds one. Of course, anybody, random person from the internet you're gonna find them saying anything you want.
Textbook. You'll see this in there.
No,
He said he'll see it in a textbook.
you won't.
You'll see this
I've
in
got
there.
many science textbooks in my house, and not one of them says that the core causes gravity. Every single science textbook that is taught around schools,
This guy heard this from someone, and he thinks that it's actually been a scientific theory that the core causes gravity. It never has been. This guy's making it up.
will say.
And even
that-
if it was, who cares? That means that somebody misunderstood the evidence, and then someone else came up with better evidence to show, no, this is what it is. That's how science works.
gravity is mass attracting mass. And then you can move on to the Einsteinian gravity and even further into the high energy descriptions of gravity once you can understand the basics. But nowhere is anywhere taught. And I can pretty conclusively say that, at least in our generation, no one has ever been taught in one of our schools that the core causes gravity.
Here's another funny thing. This is where he, again, taking what he says and not understanding what he said, and not understanding what he's reading here. So he pulls up this article, Rapid Changes in the Earth's Core, the Magnetic Field and Gravity from a Satellite Perspective. Oh, he takes
The
a lot.
core is important to understand the terrestrial shield. Key to this are measurements of the geomagnetic field itself. A second independent axis could be represented by the measurement of minute changes in gravity caused by the fact that the flow in the liquid Earth's core.
Now, I'm sure you guys all saw it already. This isn't saying that the core causes gravity. This is saying there's minute changes in gravity caused by this. That's totally different. So he's taken this to say that, oh, see, this says it causes gravity, but it doesn't. It doesn't say that at all.
Mass displacements. The research group has now succeeded to provide the
Yeah, all it's saying, exactly. Gravity works by mass, and the reason the Earth's core is affecting, giving tiny, minute changes in gravity is because since the planet's spinning, the liquid is spinning inside too, and going back and forth, causing mass displacements, because gravity works by mass, right? And causes these minute changes, even though these changes are so tiny, they're like negligible, but we can measure it, you know?
connection of fluctuations in the Earth's gravity and magnetic field. Okay, why are we getting fluctuations? Because of the Earth's core. I thought you said it was.
Already, but if you believe this and say that this is what it is, oh, well, but he's saying this is what you learn. I was going to say, then, how can you believe this if you can't, you know? But never mind. That's not what he's saying.
I thought you said that didn't matter. That wouldn't do.
That's not what he said. He says it doesn't matter. He's saying it's not relevant to understand what the cause of gravity is, or what gravity is. Explaining what gravity is, you don't need this. This is a tiny, tiny effect that causes almost negligible changes in gravity. Like, who cares? That doesn't prove what causes gravity. No, this doesn't say that it causes gravity.
Anything to gravity. Here, it's talking
He
about
didn't say it doesn't have anything to do with gravity. He says it doesn't have to do with proving gravity. See, this is where he takes people's words and he cuts them up and, you know, takes them out of context. Not only does he nitpick what he believes, but he nitpicks what everybody's saying as well.
fluctuations. It's talking that it's causing something. The Earth's core is causing an issue.
It's not causing an issue. That's not an issue at all. That's core is causing something, but not gravity. It doesn't say it did. You notice how he's using causing, but he's not saying causing gravity, right? You notice he's not doing that?
Doing something to gravity.
It's doing something to gravity. You just already said it's not causing gravity, because for it to do something to gravity, it wouldn't be the cause of it, right? It just affects it.
They're both connected. It's nothing new. So stop
Retarded.
lying.
Stop
being
lying.
a dumbass. There's
This guy is an idiot. Sometimes I feel like I've watched a couple of this guy's videos, and sometimes I feel like he's a troll. But he's been doing this for he's been putting out videos for 2 years, and he still has only 244 subs. I think if he was a troll, a lot of people would have gotten it, thought it was funny, and started watching him, and he would have more subs, I think. But he doesn't.
theories going around.
So I think he's serious, which is way worse. And it's the most funny thing that he named his channel Why You Are an Idiot, and the point is to call all these people idiots when he's the idiot. So it's just
gravity, and there's nothing you can do about it. Oh, and you're not right. You just have a theory.
Oh, you're not right. You just have a theory. Again, he doesn't know. First off, this isn't his theory. He keeps saying that he has a theory. This isn't his theory. He's not claiming to have come up with it. He's not claiming to have tested it. He's just claiming to understand the process of how they tested it and who came up with it and stuff.
I would really, really like you to explain to me the mechanics behind why there is a pressure gradient in our atmosphere.
Oh, here's where shit starts getting batshit crazy, and this guy exposes his logic, and it's hilarious. Why?
If we live in a dome and gravity isn't a thing.
Well, there used to not be a pressure gradient.
Okay, I'm gonna need some serious citation for that.
This is gonna. I have evidence for what I'm saying, but this goes into religion. Okay?
Yeah, obviously it goes into religion.
Before Yggdrasil got cut down.
I love this guy's reaction. He says it's gonna go into religion. He's like, oh, fuck.
There was a pressure gradient. Basically, do you know what Yggdrasil is?
Yes, the life
The life tree, yeah, but I'm sorry, but I don't really believe in magic, so
No, who says it's magic?
well,
Who says it's magic?
It's quite
Evidence, sir.
God is quite anything to do with God is quite clearly magic. So
No, there's physical evidence for what I'm saying.
I'm sorry, but religious texts about magic tree do not
You're religious
prove-
also.
No, I'm
Yeah,
not.
but see-
Oh,
Same
this is gonna be
thing.
fun. Yeah, I'm going to prove.
Pause it. The same thing the creationists always did about evolution, saying, "Oh, your evolution is a religion because you don't have evidence for it." It's the same thing this guy's doing. They all do this. All these anti-science guys are almost all religious. They want to believe that there's a creator. They want to, even if they don't believe a specific religion, they believe the stories of a bunch of religions, and they put it together and say, see, look, these people knew this and those people knew that, so that means this and that, and well, it's the same thing, you guys are just believing something else. And they always do that because it's the only way it's their cognitive dissonance. They have to drop what you're doing down to their level because they can't understand it. They're like, oh, but you just believe all these numbers, man. It's like, yeah, but we've observed that these numbers are correct. Like,
How you are religious. Not just you, but all you globe heads out there.
here we go.
You
So
are
Jews
religious.
already. It's going into
That's
Jews.
a fact. And it's very easy to prove. So I'm going to do it for you, okay?
Here's
So
him
I'm gonna
proving
explain.
that people are religious that believe
Let's
the earth is
start.
round.
Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan.
Again, the Bible isn't proof. This is just retarded to say, I have proof of this. Look, here's a Bible quote.
Which say they are Jews, but are not. I will make them come and worship before thy feet, to let them know that I have loved you. Basically, it's saying that there is a group of Satanists that...
On top of that, this is the King James Version. So you're believing that this guy, who was king, wanted a translation in English of the Bible, and that he didn't he didn't put anything he wanted in there, or people didn't choose which phrasings were better suited to the king, and blah blah blah.
fake being Jewish. They fake. They're called the Ashkenazi Jews. You
The
get that?
Ashkenazi. He's saying that's what this is. The Ashkenazis are the fake Jews who Satan made them fake.
To it. But they're not really Jews. They're Satanists. Okay,
They're
now,
Satanists. The Ashkenazi Jews are Satanists. This guy just said.
where am I going with this? Keep listening. Okay, so listen, all right? So there is a book called the Kabbalah. All right. It is a Jewish text. It is written by the Ashkenazi. Okay. Basically, it is written by Satanists.
It's basically, he has no proof of this. He just says shit, and it's all of a sudden it's true. You know, basically it's written by Satanists.
I'm going to read you a little verse here. It's from the Zohar, passage 119. The world is as round as a ball, and when the sun comes out in the east, it goes in a circle until it reaches below the earth, and then it becomes evening. At that time, it gradually descends by circles in certain steps, descending and circling the whole earth and the whole world. So let me ask you this question. Do you believe the earth is a ball?
So now he's saying because the Kabbalah says, which, mind you, the earth was, people knew the earth was round before the Kabbalah was written, but he says until it reaches below the earth and then it becomes evening. Yeah, so he's talking about, since Jews have this in their text, that the earth is a ball and the sun goes around it, or, you know, or at least from our perspective, and circles around, that this is propaganda by Satanists and you believe this religion, and you believing it is religion because it was written in this thing. Like, this guy's proofs are so ridiculous.
If you believe the earth is a ball, no matter who you are, whether you're Fight the Flat Earth, whether you're Godless Engineer, whether you're Professor Stick, guess what? You are religious. You believe in the words of Satanists.
You believe in the words of Satanists? No, because there's also proof of it. I've never read this. I had no idea that this existed. And I believe the earth is round because I've seen evidences for it. I didn't just read it somewhere and believe it. Like, I've seen evidence for it.
I just believe in the words of God. He says the earth is flat. I believe it. I'm religious. But if you're going to deny that you are religious, then, okay, tell everyone the earth is not a ball. You don't even have to tell them it's flat. Just tell them it's not a ball.
Why? This guy sounds gay too. Tell them it's not a ball.
Tell everyone right now. Go on your YouTube channel and tell everyone the earth is not a ball. Because I'm not religious. I'm not going to believe these religious texts. Good luck with that.
I don't believe this religious text. I don't believe that they understood the science of how that worked, you know. In fact, they don't even say, let me see, it doesn't even say that the earth is spinning around the sun, right? The world is as round as a ball. When the sun comes out in the east, yeah, it gradually descends. So, but it's looking at it from our perspective. It doesn't say we are spinning around it or it's spinning around us, but from its perspective, all they're writing is that they see the sun going around them.
No,
And then he laughs about it. That's the most Dunning-Kruger thing. Is this is his level of confidence in him being right is amazing. It's fucking hilarious.
Conversation about what religion is. Religion is the belief in something superstitious, the same as
I'm
faith.
trying to physically prove the religious text. Physically prove it, not
Okay,
trying to prove it.
I would. All right, go ahead. Physically prove to me that there was a magic life tree that somehow made the atmosphere within our dome not be a pressure gradient.
Okay, now I'm going to explain. All right, so I got to tell, can you listen? Well, Can you listen to the story without interrupting me?
Go ahead.
And then I'll show you the evidence.
Story time, people.
He's going to tell him a story and then show him the evidence. This gets really fucking weird.
I'll even
story
mute
time.
myself, all right? I will click the button and mute myself whilst you're talking.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so story time. Time to learn about, religion, guys. So, suck it up.
Look at this guy's
All right,
face.
so
He's
before the flood
suffering.
happened, there was a giant tree in the middle of the earth. It was called Yggdrasil, the world tree. Okay? Now, what happened is when the angels came down to earth from the dome.
See, now he's talking about things. This is why he does this. Is why he says, you guys believe in a religion, just like I am, because he has to sink them to their level. This is the only way he can win, because he can't prove anything he's saying. So the only way for him to win is to diminish your proof and diminish why you believe things and just say, well, you're just believing things, just like I'm just believing things. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the only way he can win. Like right now, he's saying he's got proof and he's telling a story from the Bible. Like,
And they had sex with the women. The giants.
angels came down, had sex with the women. There's absolutely no proof that happened. Nowhere near any proof that happened except for a story.
The Titans were created. And during the War of Ragnarok, the giants cut down the tree and they started to kill one another. Okay. Now, you're going to ask me for
He's laughing hard and then trying not to laugh.
proof of this. Okay, well, I have proof of giants, giant bodies. I have 3 videos.
Even if he did have proof of giants, that doesn't prove angels had sex with people, doesn't prove that there was a giant tree.
Giant bodies all over the place. Okay? I have proof of the stumps of Yggdrasil.
The stumps of Yggdrasil? Why would it have more than one stump? It's one tree. There's no such thing as a... Do trees have multiple stumps? I've never seen this before.
Okay?
I could be wrong. Maybe there are trees with multiple stumps. I don't know.
Exists. And then I have proof of what happened inside the earth of Yggdrasil. It turned into coal. Okay? The tree stumps and everything turned into coal. And you can find, human footprints, boots, literal human things inside there existing. So that's the story of what happened. Now, if you would like to see the evidence, you can go to my channel. It's called Why You Are an Idiot. You can click on Noah's Titans.
You gotta go to his channel. See, this guy's trying to get subs and views and shit. Instead of saying, here's the evidence, he's telling you, go to my channel, watch these videos.
If you want to see the Titans, as for you,
if you want to see the Titans, trust me, I've seen it. It's just rocks.
Yggdrasil, you're going to have to go to Hated for Truth for that.
And Yggdrasil, what he's saying are the stumps, which doesn't exist, because there's no such thing as a tree with multiple stumps. It's one tree. Are really volcanic, like effects, like the big rocks that flatten out on top and they look like trees, kind of like giant trees. But we know it's rock, because it's caused by volcanic activity. That's the only place they exist, is near volcanoes.
Now, I leave physical evidence for pretty much most of what I say, especially when it comes to religion.
Okay.
Okay, your turn.
Can you present me?
And then he says, okay, your turn. There's evidence for everything I said. You have to go watch these videos, but there's physical evidence for everything I said. Okay, your turn.
One of your videos proving that giants are real?
Then he says, I love this part. Luke 19:40. If I were to silence them, even the stones would cry out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Except you can't silence them because you have no... Fucking this music, too. Fuck this music.
I'm not the type to take no.
Yeah, that's not proof of anything. Somebody could have came and made that, like, with their hands and formed that shape.
I don't deal with people that are like a cancer.
Yeah, that was carved like that, it looks like to me. Like, that doesn't look like a natural formation. And even if it was, like I said, you can easily go there, take a chunk of this thing, and show if it is a biological creature.
I hang with the people that enhance you, and I'm not the type to give out second chances. I just wanna work.
Look at this, a giant kitchen. He's got to be joking. See, this is where I'm saying there's a troll, or maybe he put that in there as a joke, even if he's not a troll, I guess. Yeah, that's stupid. I've seen that drawing. That's the one I was saying that looks like a woman lying on the ground, but that's an optical illusion. We see shit like that all the time. I bet if you're close up, like if you're standing right here, it doesn't look like that anymore because all these shadows are gone. The thing is, the sun always comes up from the same side, right? So at one point of the day, you're always going to see these shadows that make it look like a woman lying down. But if the sun's from the opposite spot, does it still look like that? I don't know. I would have to go there and see that. But again, you can drill into this and see if there's a human being in there. Plus, all the giants that he talks about, I've seen other videos of him talking about giants. And from what he says, and the evidences he supposedly shows that isn't really evidence, they're like 11 to 15 feet tall. That's barely a giant. Those are just like really tall people. Maybe I think the tallest person on Earth was almost 10 feet tall. So, I mean, if you could be that tall throughout all of human history, yeah, maybe there was some people who might have reached like 11 or 12 feet tall. Like, I don't think that's impossible. There's been a gazillion amounts of people in existence since the beginning of time. There's all types of mutations that don't work and fail and, don't pass on. We're going to see that. Like I said, in contemporary times, I think the oldest person we have, the tallest person that we have in recorded history that's been recorded was, I think he was like 9'11" or something. It was almost 10 feet tall. So, I mean, if that's possible, like I said, I wouldn't doubt that there's a variable degree of what's possible of how tall somebody can possibly be. So, but, yeah, this thing is way larger than that. So that already disproves the other shit he's saying.
I'm working on my health, keep on working. excel, cause I'm working on myself.
Who are these steps made for? Who gives a shit? Somebody made it for fun and said, yeah, I want to see people try to climb this. It'd be funny. You know, like, who gives a shit?
And y'all don't know that I'm a soldier. I always felt
That,
like
how does that prove anything? What is that even? Are you saying that's like a giant fucking warthog or something? Like,
I'm alone. When everybody thinks they know ya.
this, which is obviously a statue. It looks like an old school Roman statue. It's obviously a piece of art.
And y'all don't even know I own ya. And now I'm ready taking
Another thing, a giant foot. I don't even know if these are real. These could totally just be Photoshop. But even if they're not, somebody could make this easily. Just like crop circles. And all these people were believing, oh, aliens are coming down and leaving these crop circles. And then people showed that it was easy for someone to make it. You know what I'm saying? And that simple. People do this all the time. There was people who hoaxed crop circles, you know, and people believed it. It's easy. If they never came out saying it was a hoax, people would have still kept believing that those specific crop circles were actual aliens. This is why we have the scientific method to discover if these things are real or not. Is somebody playing a trick, an optical illusion? Yeah, that looks carved as well. I mean, look at that. That's obviously an optical illusion caused by shadows and shit. Like, and then the never-ending story. He's gonna show us the luck dragon's real. Oh, god damn it! Yeah, look at it. Look at this. It does look like this one, especially looks like the luck dragon. Look at his ears. But yeah, is that really a being, or is that just a weird rock formation that you happen to think looks like this one actually just looks like a mess? I can kind of see what they're saying, but it looks like a mess. It looks like those kind of things where you have to kind of force yourself to make it, to fill in the blanks, you know, because you spill something and it kind of makes a face, this, you know, the liquid you spilled, and you look at it and you kind of make yourself make it. Here it's more pronounced, but that's because the shadows. This is how I'm saying that if you look at it from different angles, they're different light sources, it looks different. It changes what it looks like. These don't even look the same, like, and I'm betting they are the same. And that one too. They all look different because it's different lighting. That I don't even think is real. I think that's like Photoshop or something. But in the end, even if it is, it's, who cares? It doesn't prove anything. You can't look. Like, can you imagine thinking that these were real living beings? Like, you have, and completely believing that when you have no evidence of that? Like, go there, drill into it, get some fucking samples, experiment on it, find out what it's made of. Look at that one. Look at that. What is this? Baby giant in womb? Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Man, I promise that I'm gonna make it somewhere. As long as I'm conscious, I'll be working hard to get there.
That doesn't look at this. Catalina Island pregnant giant. I guess that's what it's supposed to be, the baby in the womb. Really, yo? Like, is that serious? This guy cannot be serious. Like, there's no way he can look at this and say that's proof of something. I can't even tell what that is. It looks like a blob. Is that like a giant's poop or something? I don't know. Look at this one. Yeah, right. It even has irises and eyes. Come on, get out of here. That shit ain't real.
I'm gonna make it somewhere. As long as I'm conscious, I'll be working hard to get there. I am not
it's supposed to, because it looks like a hand. See, this is like the idiots that are out there, man. They just believe shit. Let's just skip through. Look at that. What is that? What is that supposed to be? What is he saying that is? I don't get it. And this one that looks like an alligator. So
for you is, how does any of this prove that at one point there
true knowledge comes from God, but they can't prove that.
Was no pressure gradient? And more to the point, how does the fact that there used to not be a pressure gradient explain the fact that there is a pressure gradient now?
Okay, so basically, when Yggdrasil's gone,
when Yggdrasil's gone, he never even got to a point of proving that Yggdrasil even existed, but he says he has physical evidence for it.
Talking about it reached onto the dome. It reached onto the dome. Once it got cut down, how much of, because supposedly, there's a connection between the air and trees and all this. So if you cut a tree...
So, supposedly there's a connection between air and trees or something like that. He doesn't even know what he's talking about.
That big down, how much are you going to lose? And you can look at the animals. If you look at the animals of the past and you look at the animals of today,
I'm gonna have to...
twice as big. They're twice as big in the past. They had twice the
But
size.
that has nothing to do with pressure and has to do with oxygen. Animals were bigger in the past because there was more oxygen on the earth. Oxygen saturation causes animals to be bigger. I mean, there's experiments right now where they're putting dragonflies in oxygen-rich environments, and they've already grown, in a few generations, they've already grown 17% of the size they were when they put them in. So, in oxygen-rich environments, the beings grow larger, is what it was back in the day. That's why dinosaurs were so big.
In the past. That requires way more air pressure, and since Yggdrasil is so high, there should be no pressure gradient. You remove it, there is a pressure gradient.
Right, okay, I'm sorry, but that is completely, flawed logic.
Yeah, how does a tree cause atmospheric pressure? It would just cause more oxygen, which would make more sense of why they were big creatures in the past, not because there was more pressure, there was just more oxygen. Then he puts another quote. The tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto the dome, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. An angel came down from heaven. He cried aloud and said thus, Cut down the tree and cut off his branches, shake off his leaves and scatter his fruit. Nevertheless, leave the stump of its roots in the earth. The stump, again, he was saying there was more than one stump. And I've seen him another video showing a bunch of them. So that means he thinks there's multiple stumps to Yggdrasil. The Bible itself does not say plural. It says stump of the tree. So this even disproves other shit he's saying. So he just believes shit. That's what he's doing and then saying other people are doing it. But yeah, this doesn't prove shit. I like that his proof is the Bible. Like, what? How is that proof? And then he shows this. What does that do? Oh, here it is. Here's him showing multiple things, trying to say, look, here's there go. Two different things already. One, this is an actual tree stump, and this is due to volcanic activity. If he wants to prove this is a tree stump, he can go there, drill into it, and take out some samples to test to see if it is made out of wood or anything else. There he goes again. This doesn't even look like tree. It's just a basic shape, but from here it looks completely made of rock. And USA, that's a tree, bro? Seriously? You're saying that's a tree? Like, you're shot. You're shot, son. These don't look anything alike. At all. Not even close. Look at this. He thinks these are trees. Look at this. How is this a tree? There is no way that could be a tree. It doesn't look like a tree at all. That's the big one. They say everybody, not everybody, but a lot of these guys that I see that are pseudoscience guys, or people like the guy did the video on last week. He had shit with this too, and he says this is a tree. I can kind of see where they come up with that, at least. Like with the other ones, they didn't even look like trees, but this one at least has grooves on it that kind of look like a tree. But yeah, it's obviously not a tree. We've been to this. We've tested it. He can go there. It's not illegal to go to this thing. It's not closed off. You can go there, touch it, experiment on it. Like, maybe they won't let you drill into it, but I mean, if you wanted to, you could probably snatch a chunk off this somewhere and take it with you and check it out and see if it's a rock or a tree. But of course, you're not going to do that because that's not why you believe things. You don't test things to believe it. Obviously, we've seen that. The past is an interesting thing, that is true, but not in the way he thinks it is. He sees the past and then makes stuff up about it.
And they've got a new theory now that says maybe a lack of oxygen.
Then he goes into this guy. I'm not going to go through this, but he shows this Kent Hovind. Why would you want to show anything by Kent Hovind? He's an idiot. But showing him talking about how animals were bigger back in the day, like, and then talks about how dinosaurs had small nostrils. before the flood. And then, if they were so big, how could they take in enough oxygen to breathe? But they didn't have to because the area was oxygen rich, which we all know science doesn't dispute that the area was oxygen rich. They just have different reasons for what it is in different timelines than what creationists say. But, the scientists actually have evidence for the things they're saying.
But I debated Jeannie Scott in a debate.
But the nitpicking is funny, right? Even from Kent Hovind, he's using science to disprove science. Like, he's showing this, and he's just nitpicking the parts of science he wants to use as proof of what he's saying in order to discredit other science, or the science, or what that actually means, So he's using, it was oxygen rich in the past. That proves that there was the pre-flood and blah, blah, blah. The flood changed everything. And it's like, no, the flood didn't change the oxygen. Like, that's not how it works.
She said, Dr. Hovind, there are 80 separate layers of coal in the Midwest. She's right.
Oh, they think all the coal in the ground are the roots of Yggdrasil. And he uses, the flood. He says the flood cover came over and destroyed all the trees and buried it. At least that's what Kent Hovind is saying. Buried all the trees. And, and that's what is all the coal. The coal now that go on, like coal mines can go on for miles and miles. Those are trees that were buried by the flood. This guy, Why You Are an Idiot, says that's all part of Yggdrasil. That's all part of the same thing. Why it is and why there's disconnect from one coal. You'd think every single coal deposit would be connected if it was all part of one tree. But, he doesn't explain that.
She said, if you look at the amount of coal in the world today, the entire biomass, all the plants of the world today, could not possibly be converted to that much fossil fuel. She's right again.
Yeah, obviously, because we've cut down a lot of it.
There is so much coal in the world that
the land was covered with flora all over the place. Now it's not. We have deserts and, we're not as oxygen-rich environment. So we have deserts. We have areas that we've completely... Like where I live now used to be totally just trees everywhere. Now it's hardly any trees. And the trees that are here is because we planted them there to look nice,
You took every tree and blade of grass and bush and squished it. You couldn't make all the coal. There are enormous volumes of coal in the earth. I said, Jeannie, you are right. She said, well, don't you see, Hovind? There had to be an enormous amount of time to lay down all the coal seams. Oh, no. Right there, she's wrong. You see, she's looking at today's world and assuming that's how it's always been. Antenna, that is 10 iron pot, was found inside alone and probably didn't wrinkle.
The average age before the flood. Average age before the flood was 912 years. Today it's 70 and 8. Can you prove this? But it's Bible logic, right? Look, this is how old Seth was. This is how old Canaan was. Or Canaan, sorry. Oh my god. Noah. Crazy. Chart is in Seminar Notebook or laminated for $5.
2 years old. And probably didn't wrinkle.
They probably didn't wrinkle. Alright, we gotta skip through some of this.
Just talking to a tree right now.
These Avatar, there goes the blue giants. And the tree. These guys love this shit, man. These guys love using movies and stuff to try to...
Well, how did you think I proved that?
Go ahead, tell me.
What did you... Okay. Well, basically what happens is I found a satellite balloon passing by the moon. Now, that isn't anything big. That isn't a big deal. Here's where the issue comes in. The satellite balloon was casting a shadow on the moon. A little shadow. It's on video. How about the fact that, one, the sun is not that big, neither is the moon. And then I'm going to have fun with this one. Here, let me show you something. So this is the ISS supposedly passing by the moon, right? I mean, you could see it. You can literally see it passing by. And I'd like to thank Red Rhetoric for this. I love the video he made. It's awesome. Great. Thank you for this video.
That's obviously not a shadow. That's a silhouette, which is different from a shadow. It's because it's in front of light that it's all dark. But that's the actual satellite you're seeing flying over it. There is no shadow being cast.
So this is another video.
Oh, you can see it right here perfectly. There's a spot here where if it was a shadow, it would get darker because it's a lighter background. So it would be darker here and lighter here, but instead, because of the motion, it's causing a blur in the dark spots instead. You see, it doesn't change. It actually lightened up. It actually did the opposite. It should get darker when it passes through a lighter background, but instead it got lighter, which shows that there's more light there, so you see less silhouette. So that shows that what you're seeing is a silhouette, not a shadow. Like, what an idiot. This one's great. I saw this one. Now, he says these are satellite balloons because satellites don't exist. They're actually balloons. But watch this. This is funny because he thinks there's shadows being cast here when there's not.
This is another video.
Well, look at it. I can't pause it on the right spot.
What's passing by the moon? Do you know what that is?
Well, we shouldn't guess what it is because we don't know what it is. It could be little tiny rocks. It could be anything, really.
I'll give you a second.
50% speed. Now, he's saying, at some point he says there's a shadow being cast here. This is how you know there's not. What shadow is cast twice? Why would there be two shadows? And if not, then why is there an odd number of shadows? Like, I think he thinks this is a shadow of this. I think these are two objects close to each other. And the reason I say that is because if this would cast that shadow, then this one should be casting another shadow, an equal shadow over here, but it's not. So, yeah, those aren't shadows. That's not a shadow of it. Also, you can see it's not even the same shape. They're very close in shape, but you can see they're not.
It's a satellite balloon.
It's a satellite balloon. It's one satellite balloon casting two shadows?
Go, 11 to 20-something miles?
How is it casting two shadows? Or if this is a shadow of this, then where's the other light source? That doesn't make sense. For it to even cast this shadow, the light would have to be coming this way, which illuminate more of this.
Hi?
This guy doesn't understand light and shadows. How light and shadow are. Look, these aren't even the same shape, and they get closer to each other.
That's it. And on top of that, it's giving a shadow.
Is it giving a shadow, though? Is it really? Is it really giving a shadow?
It's closer than the ISS, which means the ISS...
So he thinks these are high-altitude balloons that they use to say that they're satellites.
ISS is only a few miles high. Or is it a drone? You tell me.
Or is it a drone? You tell me. Like, what? He shows this video of this balloon for some reason. I don't know why he needs... I think people know what balloons are, bro. They're not as dumb as...
Okay, so satellite balloons are set to go 11 to 20 miles high. Now, the highest, the truth is the highest is 38 miles. But I rounded it up to 40 anyway. Okay?
Okay.
So now I have a shadow, literally casting, of a satellite balloon on the moon. Now, Red has his ISS video.
He said literally casting a shadow. You didn't prove that it was, so you can't say it's literally casting a shadow. There's no proof that it was casting any shadows.
Passing by the moon. It's not casting a shadow at all. It's just passing by it. So which one is closer? Just using common sense, which one is closer? The satellite balloon or the ISS? Okay, the satellite balloon. No, we're using common sense.
The satellite did not cast a shadow.
Now we're using common sense. Like, what? Yeah, did not cast a shadow. LOL, he just lied. Well, I just showed how you can't prove that he was casting a shadow. Where's the shadow? Which one is the shadow? I wish I could ask him right now, because I want to know which one does he think is the shadow. And why is there an odd number? If there was two of these, like, it looks like there's one missing. Either one missing here or here, because how does that shadow work? You can tell the light's halfway this way, so the light's coming... Yeah, from this direction. I'm pointing with my cursor, and I don't even know if you can see my cursor. Probably not. So there should be another shadow on that bottom one, on the last one flying by. But there isn't, which means that none of these are shadows, probably. They're all just like pieces of rock that are floating by.
It's casting a shadow.
I'm sorry, but the satellite balloon...
A set of three.
Casting a shadow, okay? That means it's about 11 to 40 miles high, okay? And that is a fact. Right. And it rotates around this place on the flat Earth.
Okay, I can just destroy that.
Prove it.
No, you can't, because I can destroy it right now. What's the angular size of the moon, and how much does it change throughout the day?
All right, so basically, this is the part where he tries to go into math and equations to try and save himself. I don't care about your equations.
He doesn't believe in math, so he's like,
I don't give a fuck about your math, dude.
I don't give a fuck about your math.
I told you this before.
Because you don't understand math doesn't mean it's not proof.
Equations are flawed.
It doesn't. They're not flawed. They just mean nothing to you because you don't understand.
And guess what? He got the wrong height. He has no idea how far the ISS actually is. And guess what? You're doing now the same thing with the damn moon. Okay? You have no idea. You're just making equations and drawing it on a fucking chalkboard. You enjoy your chalkboard. You know, we'll just keep sending stuff up.
Because this guy doesn't understand the math going through this. It doesn't mean anything. This is the level of cognitive dissonance you have to have in order to believe what you believe, is to completely eradicate all this stuff that the humankind has accumulated this knowledge and figured out how to, work these things and figure them out. Of course, it's not perfect, but it's the best we've got, and it's been pretty damn reliable. And then this guy's just like, no, you're just drawing on a chalkboard, blah, blah, blah.
Proving you wrong. Because trust me, your equations don't mean shit. And that's a fact.
And that's a fact. Oh, it doesn't mean shit to you. I'm sure that is a fact. Last piece of physical evidence. Let's see. The sun only 11 to 40 miles high, casting light on the clouds. Really? That wouldn't make sense. If it was only that far, that circle that you see there of light would have been way bigger. What did the man... Because the sun, it's not just a spotlight pointing at one spot. You can see that. His words, not mine. I do have... Who cares about this guy? What was it? Hold on. I missed that. What did the first man to reach the stratosphere have to say about Earth's shape? It seemed a flat disk with an upturned edge. Yeah, that's the stratosphere. That's the next level up of atmosphere, from the level we're at. That's not very high. That's like 6 miles up. It's not very high. You're not going to see... Nobody even claims that you would see the curve from there. Except maybe you guys, you guys would say, you should see the curve from here. How come I don't see it? How to prove a dome. Remember these effects? And then he shows clips of stuff. No thanks, I'm just going to mute that. In 1960, Saint-Jacques became the first man to reach the ocean's deepest point. Okay. Oh yeah, I've seen this. This guy... It's like a rocket being shot up, and then it just stops, and they're saying it's hitting the dome. But that's not what's happening at all. And then he intersperse. Why does he intersperse it with? But here we go. No, there it is. And there's a little camera on it. But watch this. I've seen a lot of this. They say, oh my god, he keeps putting scenes from movies in it. But they're saying that the rocket stops going upwards because it hits a dome. But there's no hitting. You don't see any hitting. It just stops and then starts falling. Like, there's no hitting. You think if it hit a dome that was there, it would break up into bits, right? It'll get smashed into it. But there's no smashing. It just stops flying and starts falling. That's it. Oh my god, it sucks that he keeps putting these little things there. Like, he's trying to make it more dramatic. I'm just going to skip it. You get the idea from what I was saying. Oh, here it is. Look. That's it. It just stops and then comes back down. There was no smashing. In fact, it didn't even... The camera on the rocket didn't even look in any other direction. It was still facing the same direction. You'd think if it crashed into something, the rocket would have been smashed up, broken up, and the camera would have been jostled and facing a different direction, but instead it's facing the same exact direction. Really dumb. More Bible quotes. He says bye. Let's move on to part 2 real quick. In this one, they repeat a lot of the same stuff, so I'm not going to... I'll skip through some of it. So I guess this guy came back and responded to that.
So why you are an idiot thinks we live in a dome, with waters above and God above the dome or whatever. Now, the dome thing is an issue because unless gravity is real, which you say it's not, then inside a dome would have an equal pressure everywhere. Which we know isn't reality, as we have a pressure gradient from 14.7 psi at sea level to practically 0 psi as you get higher in altitude. Let's listen to the explanation why you are an idiot has.
Basically, when Yggdrasil's gone, we're talking about it reached onto the dome. It reached onto the dome. Once it got cut down, how much of pass? That requires way more air pressure, and since you...
The gradient now is that there isn't a giant magic tree. He says the giant tree would have pumped out enough atmosphere to make it so that there wasn't a pressure gradient, and since the giants cut Yshimel sphere to create a gradient now.
Hey, Craig, let me ask you this question. Why didn't you show them the rest of it?
The rest of it's nonsense too, and you were doing the same thing
You show them the
with
rest
yours,
of it?
cutting things out and just showing
Maybe you didn't want them
things.
seeing something because, you know, you're a liar. You're lying in your actions, not just words, in your actions. But here, I'm going to show it to them.
But that was exactly what you said.
Since you want to hide it. But I don't like hiding the truth from people.
I don't like hiding the truth from people. Oh, you want the evidence that you showed. Yeah, that was his evidence. Here we go. He's like, why didn't you show him this? The evidence.
Well, they had a big symposium.
Oh my god, all of this again. You really...
Look at the amount of...
You did this the last video. Why repeat it again? This guy sucks. Wow, look at this. That's most of the video. At least we don't have to watch most of this video.
Okay? Now, the next is this. They're all over the earth.
Let's hear what he says about
Much proven fact. So, right here, we have the giants, which is pretty much a proven fact at this point.
Pretty much a proven fact.
You want to debate it? Good luck.
Good
it's
luck.
Not even up for debate. It is a proven
It's not
fact
up
of
to
the giants that exist. They're all over the earth. Anyone can see them.
But you can't prove they are
or watch my
giants.
video.
You can see them, but just
Okay?
because you see something
Now,
doesn't
the
mean
next
anything.
part.
Doesn't
The
prove
stumps
that it
of
exists.
the roots of the earth, just like the Bible said, they're all over the earth also. There's many of them. Okay?
Yeah, they're all
Which
over the
means
earth.
the roots have to extend out.
Again, there you go. He said it again. There's
And they
many
have to
of
go
them. How does one tree have multiple stumps? There's only one base of a tree, and that's its stump.
Thousands of miles. And guess what? That's what we find in the ground. The coal literally extends out 10,000 miles, maybe even more than that. And there's not just one.
But what's to say that isn't just multiple trees that got put together and smashed down under the earth, as opposed to the roots of one giant tree that you can't really say, because you're saying these can go for 10,000 square miles, but they separate from each other. Where's the why aren't they all connected?
There are several of these all over the earth. Several. So that explains, you know, what happened to, you know, the stumps of the roots.
Oh, is that what that explains it? Yeah. And then we're just going to believe that.
Okay? And then, of course, we have the air pressure. The air pressure was stronger in the past than it is now. So guess what? That helps the animals breathe better. That helps us breathe better.
No, what pressure doesn't help people? More pressure is worse for breathing. You have to find a kind of a balance. You don't want too much. If you have too much air pressure, you can't breathe. If you have too little air pressure, you can't breathe. But you got it backwards. The air pressure isn't what made these creatures bigger. It's the oxygen that made them bigger.
Better. That means we were bigger, stronger, faster. We were basically just better in the past.
We're better because we're bigger, stronger, faster. We were better in the past because there was more air pressure.
Everything's bigger and stronger. And that is just common sense.
That's common sense. What? I think common sense would say more air pressure wouldn't make you bigger.
So, Craig, this is why you are an idiot. This is why you're stupid and a liar. Next time, show everything. Don't just show what I say. I like to physically prove my words. Okay?
And then he laughs about it. I love it. I love his
Now,
confidence.
Professor Dave is going through Globebuster's response to his first Flat Earth video. And if you haven't seen it, then I'd seriously suggest checking it out. The link to it is in the description of this video. Here he is explaining how, on the flat Earth, the sun would have to travel at different speeds depending on the time of the year.
1. This object maneuvers the inner path in a shorter amount of time than it maneuvers the outer path, which would make summer shorter than winter. It's not. Option 2. It moves much slower up here and much faster down here, so that all of the circles take the same amount of time. That would mean the sun moves through the sky at different speeds throughout the year. It doesn't. The sun moves 15 degrees per hour at all times, which anyone can verify for themselves with the naked eye. So sorry, this model doesn't work.
See, Dave, this is why you are an idiot. Because you are making assumptions. You don't know how
You're making assumptions.
far the sun is. You don't know how
You don't know
fast
how far the sun is? I mean, he does know, but even if he didn't know, that wouldn't change how we observe the sun moving across the sky. Like, he's not talking about what it's actually doing. He's talking about our perspective observation of it.
it's moving. You don't know any of that shit.
You don't even know that it's moving. Oh, God. That irrelevant. That's irrelevant to the point. This is how what this guy does. He takes the point and then brings up irrelevant stuff, like if he didn't understand the point. But is he lying, or that's the part that I don't know. Like, is he lying, or is he really that ignorant that he doesn't understand what these people are saying?
You are
to me, I think he's lying.
Making assumptions. So let's get this.
It's not making an assumption. Look up at the sky. Calculate the time it takes for the sun to get from one side to another. You can do that.
Just went out of the way.
Yeah, this is a common phrase that comes from a flat earther. You are making assumptions. And the reason they use that phrase is that they don't understand the reasons that we know these things to be facts. It's called personal incredulity, and it basically boils down to, I don't understand it, so it's not real. We do know the distance to the sun.
Yeah, which happens a lot. You see that a lot with this guy. So you're going to tell me that this is happening and that's happening? That's crazy. And then they're going to say, I'm crazy. And it's like, yeah, but just because you find something to be incredible doesn't mean that it's not real. There's plenty of evidence to show you that it is real. And, however incredible you think it is irrelevant to an argument.
It's approximately 93 million miles.
Now, here's Craig, again, lying. Literally lying after we went through this already. Here, I'm going to show you. We went through this before, and I proved my point.
I proved my point. No, you didn't prove shit.
So this is another video. But let me ask you this question. Can you guess what's passing by the moon? Do you know what that is?
It's funny, he tells him, can you guess? And then he tells him what it is. Like, what? And you don't know what it is. You're guessing what it is.
I'll give you a second. But here, I'm going to tell you. It's a satellite balloon. Yeah, satellite balloon. And satellite balloons.
I like how he just says things and you're supposed to believe it. Like, what's your proof that those are satellite balloons?
So to only go, 11 to 20 something miles high? And that's it.
And you're just supposed to believe them that it's casting a shadow, even though there's things within this image that shows you that it's not. That shows that casting a shadow is wrong.
With that, it's giving a shadow. So basically, it's closer than the ISS, which means the ISS is only a few miles high. The satellite balloon on the moon. Now, Red has his ISS video passing by the moon. It's not casting a shadow at all. It's just passing by it. So which one is closer? Just using common sense, which one is closer? The satellite balloon or the ISS? Yeah.
Just using common sense.
The sun does speed up and slow down. Here, I'll give you a bigger one. The sun literally stops moving.
The sun
completely
stops
stays
moving.
in place. It completely stops moving. And then it starts back up again. And guess what? I have video evidence to prove that.
Yeah,
here, take a look.
You do. This is his video evidence that the sun stops moving. Look at this. In fact,
I warned you guys twice. If you
the funny thing, in fact, is that the thing that is recording the sun is moving itself. Therefore, the camera's going to move. And even if you could, the sun is moving the speeds that it's moving, you're not going to see it. But one, this thing is not attached to Earth. It's spinning around the Earth at the same time. And another thing is that it's constantly moving. So even within the image, you're going to see the sun move because of the perspective. So even that's wrong,
just hurt yourself after watching that, then it's on you. Seriously, you think you're going to see the sun move in just a few seconds of footage?
Okay, Craig, so your feelings completely go out the window. What do you...
Your feelings go out the window. It's not a feeling. He's stating common sense.
Video. There is a camera 60,000 feet in the air. The sun is right there casting light on it. Very close.
Well, this guy doesn't believe in space and thinks there's a dome over it. And he's already saying that this thing that he's looking at is 60,000 feet in the air. Where's the dome? Why hasn't it hit the dome?
11 to 40 miles high, just like I said. Okay? And it's completely not moving. It's just chilling there, sitting. You say it's in constant...
You can't tell if it's moving or not from that video. The video is basically corrupted by the fact that it's on a moving object. Like, you can't really use that as a proof of it. But obviously, we know that it is
constant, which means it should be moving, and the video is longer. You know that, but it should be moving, and it's not. So guess what? You're wrong. It doesn't matter what you say or what you think.
It doesn't matter what you say or what you think.
You are wrong, because the physical evidence says otherwise.
To measure 15 degrees of rotation. Next, Professor Dave explains why astronomy is a science and how we do experiments with it.
How we do experiments.
In the 19th century, we noticed irregularities in the orbit of Uranus. We realized...
Here goes the Raceberg talks about Neptune.
These irregularities could be explained if there was another planet perturbing its orbit by gravitational influence. We did some math and predicted that there should be another planet in a particular place. We looked in that place, and what do you know? There it was. You can't get any more empirical than that. That astronomy is an empirical science, just like any other.
Hey, idiot, pay attention, okay? I'm going to show you something very interesting. Right? So use your eyes, okay? Not your feelings, your eyes.
Not your feelings.
So this is one of the...
You can't trust your eyes or your feelings. Your feelings, you saying you're not to trust feelings is the same as saying don't trust your eyes, because what you're seeing, we know our eyes don't see things the way, always perfect. We know illusions exist. That's why there's magicians and illusionists and shit. We know the eye tricks us. So it's not reliable either. So trusting your eyes is also trusting your feelings.
Images that, NASA puts out about Venus of what it looks like. This is the image that they give us. But when you actually look at it in reality, this is what it actually looks like.
When you see it in reality. Look at that.
Yes, this is what Venus actually looks like. Okay, so what's going on here? Why do they look so different?
Two things here, butt nugget. That clip of...
They call him a butt nugget? Is that what I said? Butt nugget?
The planet sizes you just showed, well, that was from a channel called Science Magazine who uploaded it in 2009, not from NASA. And the other thing is that this is an out-of-focus shot of Venus taken with a P900. A P900 is not a telescope and probably shouldn't be used for trying to focus on things that are millions of miles away.
Yeah, basically.
See, Craig, you are lying again.
Now he's going to say he's lying. What? What is he lying about?
Why don't you show them the full thing? Don't worry, I will. Because, you're a liar. And you won't.
Hey, idiot. Pay attention, okay? I'm going to show you something very interesting. All right? So use your eyes, okay? Not your feelings. My God above the dome. The one that you hate. Yeah.
My God above the
dome.
Why do
they look so different? Well, maybe because of this. See, my God, my God above the dome.
Showing the rest of it of what he cut out doesn't make his case any better at all. It's funny. It makes his case worse.
And the lights in the firmament. See, what you're seeing there is just one of the lights. See?
Yeah, but it doesn't look like that if you look at it through a telescope.
There's no moonlight needed to create the light. It is its own independent light because God said so.
Because
and
God
the reason, it's creating all those effects is because there's water above the dome, and there's nothing you can do about it.
And there's nothing you can do about it. Oh my God. That's funny. It's because there's water above the dome, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, what? What do you mean there's nothing you can do about it? We can pierce the dome, let the water in. Do that.
Tackles gravity and the Cavendish. Can't wait to hear why you are an idiot's rebuttal to this.
The Cavendish experiment certainly notwithstanding, but there's no evidence to suggest that mass attracts mass.
All you did was name the experiment that does the thing you're asking for, and then proceed to say nothing about it. Physics undergrads do this experiment all over the world all the time. If you think it's invalid, explain why.
Dave, this is why you are an idiot. One, the rotation of the Earth. You cannot prove the Earth is rotating whatsoever, at all. No one can.
Yeah, we've proved it so many times over.
Two, the core of the Earth. You definitely can't prove that at all, whatsoever. You can't.
Okay, so you're also completely ignoring the Cavendish, just like Globebusters, and instead saying we can't prove rotation.
But what we found is when
moving the goalpost, right?
We turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15-degree-per-hour drift.
Craig, this is why you are an idiot. Because one, I'm going to show you a video of a gyroscope not moving at all, like literally not moving, not showing any rotation whatsoever. And even if it did move, it still would not prove that the Earth is rotating whatsoever. And no, I'm not joking. It would not prove anything.
No, I'm not joking. He doesn't say why it doesn't prove it. He's just
like
saying.
Getting a globe and spinning it and saying, hey, well, because, this rotated, that means the Earth is rotating. That's retarded.
That's why he doesn't understand shit.
If something else moves does not mean the Earth moves. You don't have that thought process. You can't think critically. Your logic makes no sense. Because you have none.
And we can't prove the core. Now, apart from Bob and his buddies Gyro already proving the rotation of the Earth being 15 degrees per hour, we can absolutely prove the core. Using the science of seismology, we can map the interior of our planet pretty accurately. But as I explained to you in our debate, the core of the Earth isn't related to gravity the way you think. It's the Earth's entire mass that causes the curvature of space-time, which manifests as a force.
Craig, this is why you are an idiot.
This guy goes back to core. He's saying it's the entire mass. It has nothing with the core.
The core is supposedly 4,000.
Why is he going back to core? This is so weird that he moves it to core every time. He doesn't... That's because that's the only argument he has against a straw man of what causes gravity, which we've already went through, and nobody's saying core. He's the only one who keeps saying... He's the only one that brings it up.
Okay. Now... what is the biggest hole or longest hole ever dug? 8 to 16
What
miles.
does that have to do with what he was talking about?
I don't care which one I use, but this time I'm going to use 8 because I normally use 16. So you're telling me by digging 8 miles, you know the core exists? Now, let's assume someone goes
Not at all.
8 miles
That they don't even claim to say that we know the core exists because we can drill 8 miles.
4,000 miles to prove a core? No, it won't.
Why would you have to scan? That doesn't make sense.
If you do think a scan is going to go 4,000 miles, you're just a retard.
And then what we have left is mass attracts mass. Well, I'm going to grab 2 cups that are on my table
This
right
is
now,
so
one on
dumb.
the left, one on the right, and guess what? They're not attracting to each other.
Well, that's just wrong. They
they're not. Well, let me see.
absolutely are being attracted to each other, but the force of attraction is overcome by the Earth's gravitational attraction, the friction between the cup and the table, and even air resistance. So yeah, if you hadn't just ignored the information about the Cavendish, you wouldn't have sounded like the biggest moron on the planet.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing more massive on Earth than Earth, right? that wouldn't make sense for something more massive than Earth to be on Earth. So obviously, the gravity caused by Earth is going to be stronger than anything else on the planet, right? Than anything else's gravitation on the planet. It only makes sense.
Greg, this is why you are an idiot. Because, unfortunately, you're this stupid. One, I want to see mass attracts mass, okay? Make it happen.
You are? Well, there was an experiment that shows it. He keeps ignoring it. He even said in his rebuttal was like, well, again, you skipped the Cavendish experiment, or you would have understood this if you checked out the Cavendish experiment. But if you want to see mass attract mass, we see it everywhere in the skies. We see it all the time. We see all these planets made.
Cavendish. I just want 2 random pieces of mass and make them attract. That's the first thing that I want. 2, you can't even prove the gravity of the Earth. The reason why is because German science...
That's the thing it is that he doesn't care about any proof. He just wants these very specific proofs that he knows you can't prove because, on the planet, we're on a planet that's so massive that we don't have any 2 objects that are, that can escape its massiveness to say, like, oh, here's these 2 coming together without other forces interfering and stuff. So, but that's what he does, is he comes up with these proofs that you would have to do that he knows you can't do, and then says, that's the only way you can do it. I don't care if you have all these other proofs that lead up to the only conclusion being that. I don't care. You have to show me this exact proof, or I'm going to believe some other fairy tale shit instead.
Scientists, the ones that supposedly work with satellites, say the core and gravity are connected. So, guess what?
Whether they're connected or not still makes no difference. You're saying it doesn't make a difference. It's not, because they're connected doesn't mean one causes the other. These are 2 different forces that tend to have an effect on each other here and there.
They require both.
They don't require each other. They just are both happening at the same time, and they have an effect on each other.
It requires both of them, and you can't prove the core. So guess what? All your shit goes down the drain.
And then you can't prove the core means nothing. Man, it's so weird that he stuck to that, right?
It's meaningless. It's useless.
No matter what you say. Humans evolved from all animals evolved from a related animal, but you can't prove a core. Like, what? Like, what does that have to do with it? What are you talking about?
Garbage. Prove the core, then you prove gravity. If not, shut up.
No, you don't have to prove the core to prove gravity. That's stupid.
It sounds stupid.
If you had studied science in a formal setting, you'd know that.
See, Dave, this is why you're an idiot. If you had actually studied religion and, actually read through these...
What if you studied religion? What?
Just text, not just the Bible, but more, you'd understand where we get our technology. But here, let me show you.
We'd understand where we get our technology by reading books instead of actually seeing if the things are true. That's a weird goalpost shift too, right? Like, this dude just explained how we do experiments to understand things in science and understand how things work, and this guy goalpost shifts to technology. Oh, we know where we would get technology is from the Bible, you know?
This is the Book of Enoch. I'm going to read this.
The Book of Enoch.
Okay? And the angels taught men to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates.
So basically, his goalpost shift is angels gave us technology. How is that a rebuttal to us doing experiments to see if things are real or not? And that's how we can make technology.
Made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them.
Really? Huh. So you won't trust modern, accurate empirical data, but you will put your stock in a book written 2,400 years ago and piece together from fragments of a dead language. Yeah, cool, why not?
Oh, and
yeah, basically.
Yes, I will trust them. Because they did something you didn't. They told the truth.
How do you know that they told the truth?
Oh, you lied. And it's all over this video. You lied a ton.
He didn't lie at all. This is so weird that he's calling him a liar. When actually, I think this guy's the liar. There's no way he misunderstood that much of what this guy was saying. He's purposely misdirecting the argument and stuff like that to not look like he's wrong, you know?
Exactly. Oh, and yeah, the writings were written, 5,000 years ago. Because I don't subscribe to what, the mainstream says. Okay? I do my own research and think in my own way. And
think in my own way. It means you saying that you believe is true, whatever you want to believe is true, and whether something can be proven or not doesn't matter because it's what you want.
Own choices.
Okay? Yeah, see?
Something you can't do.
Now, this is before the flood, so there should be evidence.
It's obviously something he can do. I'm sure that dude was probably raised religious too and then became an atheist. I don't think that's like most of the time people are raised in a religion and become atheists than people being raised atheists.
Of this, right? There should be some type of evidence of this, right?
Yes, there should be loads of evidence.
Well, look here.
That's his evidence.
This isn't new technology. This is old. This goes back thousands of years.
This is old. Oh my god. This is like such a fucking facepalm moment.
We're just recreating it. It's nothing new.
No, that's not evidence.
Yes, it is evidence, whether you like it or not. You can go see it, you can go touch it, you can go...
Yeah, but evidence isn't proof. There's a difference between evidence and proof. Evidence you can show as a proof of what you think it is, but it can be debunked and then say, no, that doesn't prove it. That's wrong evidence. It happens all the time. You have people use witnesses as evidence, right? And witnesses aren't reliable evidence. So, but to this guy, I bet it is, because he believes things written in books by people who say they witnessed things that you can't corroborate.
Feel it. It's real.
This is...
Now,
look at this.
Whether you believe they had that in the past, that's up to you.
But that's up to you to believe it or not.
There as evidence. Oh yeah, it's there. Now, let's go through some of our...
It's not good evidence. You could say it's evidence, but it's not very good evidence.
Technology. Who do you think, it's named after? You want to know what angel is in charge of our space program?
What angel is in charge of our space program?
Thoth.
Thoth. Thoth isn't an angel. Thoth was a god. He wasn't an angel.
Thoth, this guy. This fallen angel is in charge of our...
A fallen angel Thoth, right?
Do you really think I'm going to believe...
And because that's this technology company... It's not even a program. He's saying this is the space program. It's not a space program. This is services and products for space applications. So they make products for, people traveling in space for NASA. So, but, just because they named it Thoth, he's saying, oh, that's proof. There you go. This is the angel that makes technology for us. Like, what?
Anything coming out of his mouth, or anything coming, out of the mouth of astronauts. Yeah, good luck. And we have the other technologies from the angel Hermes. You understand what I'm saying?
Because this company named it Hermes. This is great. And then he's like, you understand what I'm saying? Wow. This is why I say this guy's got to be a troll, right? This can't be real. But he makes so many videos and wastes so much time on this. Like,
to figure out, it's whether you choose to believe they exist or not. And proving they exist has gotten very easy. It's really not hard.
Right.
Here, I'll give an example.
I mean, proving things exist is very easy when you just believe anything because of this, because of these kind of thought patterns.
So, the things we call aliens. Yeah,
the things we call aliens, those are falling angels, but you can't even prove that the aliens exist, let alone if they're fallen angels or not. What the fuck are you talking about?
And then, they gave birth, and the women died doing it. So it's not hard to
look at this.
Very easy. I mean, the kids are all over the earth.
Is that giant womb again?
Them. Yes.
And we killed them.
Human race.
Listen to this guy.
By the order of my God.
By the order of my God.
And I freaking love Christ for it. Because I'd do it again.
Because I'd do it again. You didn't do anything, bro. You didn't kill anything. Get the fuck out of here. Oh my God. How ridiculous is that guy, right? Oh, that was so funny. But it's so weird. These people, the way they think they have an argument. Like, you hear his confidence, how well he thinks he proves things by either citing scripture or showing some bullshit picture off the internet. Like, some of them are even like not even real pictures. This is like that guy from the last week that I did the video that I did a stream about, where he was talking about blue giants existed and the genes are still around. And then it shows a picture of that guy who turned blue from eating silver. Like, why are you showing bullshit pictures to go with something you're saying is totally true, that we know what happened in those pictures? Like, it doesn't fit what you're saying. So it's just, I just thought it was funny. I was watching this yesterday and I thought I'd stream about it a bit. But I'm going to stop streaming now. Thanks for coming, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. If you think you want me to watch more stuff like this, I don't know, maybe I will. This guy's got a lot of stuff on his channel. I might go through more stuff because it's pretty funny. But I'm done.